Welcome to Tennis Sucks, a Pickleball podcast by Travis Rettenmeyer and Graham D'Amico. This week, we recap all things MLP Atlanta, including the performance of the Florida Smash and Travis on the Texas Ranchers. Will we see some trades coming before next event? Plus, can the sound of pickleball be reduced? USAPA seems to think so. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Tennis Sucks.
Perfect. Okay, welcome to Tennis Sucks. Episode, who knows? A lot of them now.
30th, maybe?
30th, sitting next to Graham. Like 30 hours of my life that have been somewhat enjoyable. We got a lot of things to talk about. We just got back from MLP Atlanta, and the ball controversy, we thought was going away, is back in full force. Graham will never let it die. If anything, it's like reinvigorated his soul that he's correct. So this whole thing of like, I'm wrong, you're right, is down the drain. Although you did say I'm wrong today about something. What was it? When we were at the courts practicing.
I don't remember that.
All right, go ahead. What do we got, Graham?
All right, so let's kick off with a recap of MLP, starting with Florida, who unfortunately got smashed instead of did the smashing. So what was the problem there, guys? What happened?
Travis drafted very poorly.
Yeah, we didn't draft correctly.
Yep.
Is kind of the feeling. So we'll take full blame. We didn't coach right. We didn't GM right. We didn't draft properly.
Yeah, I thought the structure that we had it set up was really bad. In just one regard, really, like the highlight, honestly, was watching Michelle Esquivel. I thought she played great, competed really well. I expected a lot better doubles play from Dominique and more importantly from Colin Schick. He looked nervous. He looked a little out of sorts. And I think part of that is him playing the right side. He's a pure left side guy. And I think we need to be more clear with Brendan just saying, hey, Colin's got to play the left. His best shot by far is his backhand off the bounce. And when you put him on the right, you take that away from him. So it literally looked like he was learning on the fly, and that was hard to watch because he obviously has great potential, but he just wasn't there yet.
He got a little better as they both did a little better as the day went on.
He did take instruction really well too. Like when we did the mix thing and it was like, here's how you do it. This is what you do. I mean, he was trying to do it. And then for like 6-7 points, he really got it together.
Dominique too takes
She takes really good instruction.
So
she just has to learn a roll volley. She hits every volley flat with spin, and that just doesn't work.
It's another learning process for us that it's difficult to. They're first timers. Let's call it first timers,
right?
And they've got to figure out nerves because it's different than playing on the APP tour or the PPA tour. It's
Very
a
different.
completely different animal.
Yep. Completely
different pressure, and you can tell they were green, and they need some more time under their belt to compete even at the challenger level.
Yeah, I just think that format heightens the nerves are so high. Like I was actually having this conversation earlier. It's like no one's going to be great out of the gates every time. You're going to have a struggle. So it's like, do you know how to play struggling? Like if you miss your first 3 drops, the first 2 are high and one's in the net, what's your next play? Like what can you do to make sure that you're not just giving away the whole match and playing like shit? And that's what, like, Federico said it great. Like, MLP is about shots. It's about corazon. It's about huevos. It's about passion. And it's true. It's like you have to figure it out on the fly to some extent, every player. And if you don't have that kind of belief that you have multiple options and you're a little bit in that learning curve, then it's really hard to perform well.
Do you think you'll see some trades coming up for the Smash then?
Yes. Absolutely.
Are we allowed to talk about that? Or
yeah,
is that,
okay. Of course. We've already been offered by 2 or 3 teams some trades.
You don't go 0-3 and not think of trading.
Yeah. And so, we've told the members they're kind of all up. They could all be, everything's available for us. Like if we get something that we feel is better or might work better, we will. And also we may not trade. It's possible we say, you know what, let's give them a second try. Let's do the same team, maybe switch up, sides or something of that nature. Maybe they get a little more confident. Nothing to lose now that you've seen the worst. Right. You can play a lot better, I think. What the bottom. Once you know what the bottom feels like, you're not as nervous, I don't think.
Yeah, but it can go both ways because it's like, no matter what, and that's a true statement, but no matter what, you're going to have 18-18 and 18-19, and it's like at that moment do you perform, and if you don't have confidence, then you're not going to perform.
That's something actually Brendan was really good at. He was down in a lot of matches
he's a great
and knew how to dig himself out of that and get wins.
Brendan's a very good competitor. Even when I watch him play PPAs, I always think the same thing. This guy fights very well.
Yeah, he made a funny statement. We were down 20-15 in a mixed doubles match. You heard it, Luke?
Yep.
He comes over and he says, so what do you think our odds are? We're like 80% favorites here, right? Literally gets
Those
back
were
on
his
the
words?
during his
I
timeout.
like
80% favorites, down 2015,
I love
15-20. Comes gets 2 or 3 more points, and he goes 90% favorites, and then
Love it.
they win it.
Yeah.
Now
It was
we're
an incredible
talking.
turnaround.
I was dying. I was
Now
dying.
that's some shit talk right
yeah,
there. I
he
like
really did.
that.
It's like, what are we? And he ran back out to the towel, threw it down, and went to work.
I like that.
Yeah, he had 2 games where he came
Two.
back from a really steep,
It's like only
hill to
2
climb.
wins.
Yeah.
We won 3 out of 12 games.
So if there were trades to be happening, what's the timeline on that? Any time between now and the next event,
Pretty
basically?
much. Yes. There will be a trade portal as well. We may go into trade portal depending.
Yeah, Allison Harris will be in there.
Allison Harris is in the portal, and
Yeah,
probably a lot of teams want her, and we'll be one of those teams if possible. So yeah, there are some possible trades. It could happen.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you want, we could switch to the Ranchers performance then. So Ranchers got a little hogtied. Travis, you played well though.
Don't do that.
You didn't read the notes, did you?
Play on word, hogtied.
You didn't hear the smashed one. Did you hear the smashed one?
I did,
Oh.
yeah, I got you.
Everything's a pun.
That's fine, but hogtied, let's take it far.
You can tell he didn't read the notes ahead of
No, I
time.
haven't read them. Yeah, I've been on fucking dad duty for the last. It's literally noon solo. I'm losing my mind. Yeah, it was. I give Dylan Frazier a lot of credit. The guy in practice was incredible. Like, he played so well, and likewise, I actually did too. Like, I thought in practice we were playing fantastic. We started with me on the right. First 3 games not so great. Decided we were going to switch, and we were awesome. But he was clearly under the weather, not feeling his best, and went to urgent care on Thursday.
Wow.
And competed, never complained. Didn't play well at all throughout the whole weekend for what his standard is, but didn't bitch. Fought his ass off. Was a great partner. And, if I played a little better in the first match against the Squeeze, we probably win that men's match, but I was terrible. I'm actually convinced I was terrible morally because of the uniforms, the fucking orange uniforms. I couldn't see the ball. I could not figure out why I couldn't see the ball. Every other match I saw the ball fine. The orange uniforms, I didn't know why during the match until after I thought about it. I was like, it must have been those. I could not pick it up. I was late on every hands battle, every one.
Yeah,
And
saw
I'm
it.
convinced that the orange jerseys, which I've never had a problem with the white paddle, but the orange jerseys, I couldn't see the ball. And I made a joke to Zane about it, before the match, but I really believe that. I believe, oh shit, I couldn't see.
How is that not a banned color? I mean,
It's gonna be. I'm telling you what. I hate to say it, Zane, Squeeze. I'm gonna make a formal complaint because I genuinely believe I couldn't see the ball. I don't know if anyone else agrees with that, but I'm convinced of it.
Well, orange is one of our primary colors for Smash, so we'll have it next event until it's banned. Let's get some all orange.
I think it's really difficult to see. The ball is essentially orange, the Dura, depending on which Dura you use, right, Graham?
right. And that was a pastel.
Yeah. So if you use that Dura, it's literally orange coming out of orange. I lost it a couple times. There was one, I never saw it, and the ball was behind me. I was like, oh, shit. Where did that come from? And I literally thought, it was the backdrop. Maybe I wasn't seeing it in the screen behind the court. It wasn't. Because every other match, I saw the ball fine. I was picking it up quick. But in that match, I could not see the ball. So I played terrible. Disappointed, again, the girls 0-3. Georgia's struggled in the gender format in MLP now for, I want to say, the last 3 events. Is that right? The last 3. I think she's 10 out of her last 12 losses. I'm not sure why that is. She's a great player. I love playing with her. But, we got to figure out a way to get some wins in the women's. So, she and Lauren didn't perform great. Dylan and Lauren won 1 match. So, overall, it was a tough weekend. I think we were a much better team than the Breakers, just my opinion. But me and Dylan beat Rafa and Garnett. Dylan and Lauren lost badly to Marietta Wright and Garnett, which is a match I think they should win on average. And then the girls lost to Marietta and Stratman, and then Rafa was awesome in the Dreambreaker. He played great. He beat me fair and square.
Marietta and Leia.
Yeah, and they all played a great Dreambreaker. But anyway, so yeah, we ended up 1-2. The only match we won was against the Bouncers. I think for now they're the worst team in MLP.
You said that wasn't the case.
I said anything can happen, but I didn't say that they weren't the worst team. I absolutely said they were the worst team. I just said you never know who's going to end up being the worst team.
Oh, gotcha.
But yeah, they're the worst team. Who else could you say?
Well, I thought you said you didn't think they were going to be as bad as everyone was saying, but they were as bad as everyone was saying.
They're still good. Look, they could still win any match. That's the beauty of MLP. They could still win any match. but like on average, they're the worst team.
Yeah. Florida Smash could win too with this team. That
Of course they could. That's my point. Like the margins are really small, and by me saying they're the worst team doesn't mean they're a bad team. It's just the team. From my general consensus, like from other people that have talked to, like, man, the competition level was so fucking high, and it was like, yeah, the play was really, really high. Like the level was really good, and I just think that, you know, them taking Hunter was a mistake. I understand why. Like obviously Paris is playing with Hunter and dating Hunter, and then her taking Simone's. I don't know. You know, like I just feel like there's a lot of really, really good players these days, and maybe they're slightly behind the 8 ball.
Do you think that the support of the teams in the event makes a huge difference for the winning teams?
As far as like the fans?
The fans, like showing up, making
100%.
noise. I mean,
Yes.
the Squeeze had a ton of people supporting them, and I think their confidence level was just through the
No
roof.
doubt about it. And I think the Ranchers intend to do a better job with the fan base, but I actually think they did okay. But I've been really impressed. Like even since the event, I've probably exchanged 5-6 texts with the Ranchers team asking what they can do better, how we can perform better, what they can provide us as far as training, you know, nutrients, nutritionists, like everything, trying to figure out like how can we get the most out of you guys. And so, yeah, I think there's something to be said for just your team being really invested in you, whether from a fan perspective or from a management perspective, that makes you feel like, all right, they give a shit, you know, like this matters.
Yeah. Felt like there were a lot of people who were called out sick this MLP event than usual. There was like four people, I think, that were sick.
Megan, his own.
It was Mary Braska.
Mary
right?
Brasher got mono.
And
Hayden had a
Hayden?
migraine.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. That
Yeah, that was
something
weird.
in the water.
He went out with the migraine.
Yeah.
Hi, beautiful.
Did Shelby go out or just Megan? Did Shelby?
I think just Megan his own.
Megan did. Yeah. But yeah, there's some sickness running around. And Dylan maybe shouldn't have played.
Dylan probably shouldn't have played.
Yeah.
He was, I heard, just up coughing all night, every night is what the word was from the Airbnb. So he had a tough time of it.
Yeah,
as
no,
well.
like we had towels by our court, and they're just filled with mucus.
Oh.
Like he was just over and over. But he never said a word. You know, he smiled. He fucking credit to him, man, because I knew that wasn't. It's obviously wasn't his best. Like he looked weak. But he battled, man.
Yeah.
Fucking battled.
I mean, overall, Travis, you did pretty well on the MLP player stats. You were the 7th highest ranking male overall, which is great.
Yeah, I think that's just purely on wins and losses, but I think real clear stats had it a little differently. And yeah, I think individually I don't feel I actually played great. I thought I played okay. I definitely noticed some big holes in my game. Wrote down like 8 or 9 of them that I'm gonna work on. One of them I worked on today with Graham. But I think I competed really well. Like every match that I won was really close, and when it was tight, I played really smart, and I competed well, and I was feisty. Like I have a huge fucking chip on my shoulder right now. I'm not gonna lie. Like I don't think I've ever felt quite like this for me. Pickleball was always something I enjoyed, and I was just kind of coasting through, and I wanted to be good at it. But you know, if I wasn't, like I don't feel that way anymore. I'm fucking pissed, and I feel like I'm on a mission now to prove to all these little fuckers that think they're so good that they're dog shit. So that I'm gonna hold on to that.
So what changed? Why feeling a little bit more pissed than just, you know, enjoyable?
Undervalued,
Okay.
disrespected.
Got it.
Whether it was monetarily or verbally from, you know, people that I called friends and really liked. And, you know, it's funny because like I've always been the guy that in interviews after matches, I'll be like, oh, my partner's so great. I'm so fortunate to share the court with him. Like, I'm done with that. I'm the best player on the court, and you're going to watch me now. And that's what it's going to be.
Wow. Awesome. Borrowing from Graham's ethic there. That's how Graham is on these records.
Yeah, he definitely lets everyone know how fantastic he is. Did you hit your fade today?
I tried and missed against Austin.
Shit.
Yeah, I missed it.
But was it there if you made it?
It was there. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It was
What
there.
were you trying to do?
Just a different shot I was practicing today.
Okay,
All right.
you want me to
A
make
little
that on my
fade
phone
put away.
for you?
Oh, got it. All right. So obviously the Squeeze takes it. I think Rachel, our friend Rachel, who we had on the pod a couple weeks ago, just was the clear standout. I mean, I think she just played out of her mind.
She played insane.
Yeah.
She was awesome in every aspect. Women's, mixed. Like what I was so impressed with was when she would attack a guy, and the guy would counter back. She would reset it so consistently, and I was like, "Fuck, that's really hard to do. Like that's high level shit."
Yeah.
And she was doing it out of the gates, like she'd been doing it her whole life.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then just to have such composure in every stressful moment, like this isn't big for me. This is dog shit. Like she literally looked like she owned the room.
She did.
And super impressed. So she made a fan out of me, that's for damn sure. And Zane, like fucking A. how fun is that guy to watch when he's animated? He was hysterical. Like, I was loving his shit. He points to the paddle. Thank you, Ron. Thank you. And then, he was like dancing in one. He full arm stretch, scream. Like, I was into it, man. I was all about it.
Great. So speaking of color issues, Graham, why don't you tell us about Rafa's paddle? You spoke to me during one of his games and told me something about his paddle.
Did you see Rafa's paddle?
No.
Because it had something
Flicker?
reflective or white, he had to marker it out. So if you look on his paddle, the Adidas symbol, his
really?
whole paddle is markered black, and he's like, as if I didn't have any grip before. Now I have to rub the whole thing in marker. And we got a picture of it with him, and he's like, yeah, it's bullshit.
I can't do that one.
But it's pretty funny. The Adidas whole Adidas paddle front is just a big
reflection.
big marker.
We took a picture of it. We'll put it on our
Eagle
Instagram. Graham will send it and we'll post it so you can see it. But I didn't believe it at first. When you said that, I was like, there's no way there's Sharpie on that paddle. And then he brought it over and for sure he did.
Another issue with the visibility people were saying was the red kitchen gave some problems with the yellow ball. Like you'd lose it in the kitchen.
I never had that issue with it, but I heard that
I think
also.
that's a red-yellow color blindness. I feel like, I don't know, green and red and yellow.
I did notice, like, I wish I'd practiced on the main courts more, like prioritize that leading up to it, because they bounced way fucking lower than the
told you
practice
that.
courts. Yeah.
I tried to give you a
I
heads
couldn't get
up.
on them.
Yeah.
We couldn't get on them. They were already booked out.
Yeah, the courts, because they were so new, were very had a lot of
Soft.
texture, and that makes them soft. They're, the ball doesn't bounce as high, it stays lower, it skids a little, and slower overall. And players had to adjust to that, trying to give the ranchers a heads up to get some more time on those courts. But those courts were in high demand. So.
Yeah, they were booked out long ago, and I swear I booked one like 3 weeks ago, and somehow I was moved.
Pickleball made some pretty national news with Barstool Sports. People probably have seen it, but the fight that broke out on Championship Court.
Yeah.
Did either of you see that
I
as it
did.
happened?
I did.
You saw
I
it as it
didn't
happened?
watch it live. No.
I think it's on grandstand court, maybe, but could have been championship.
I think it was Championship.
It was De La Rosa and
It might
Spencer
have
Smith.
been Grandstand, but I don't
Oh,
know.
I don't know.
De La
It just
Rosa
was
and
over a
Spencer Smith.
call, a little bit of heat, got
Well, the
heated.
cameras weren't on, so they literally didn't have them.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So they didn't do it on purpose. So Spencer challenges the call, and then he said it was like egregious, like 6 inches. And they come back and they say, "Sorry guys, the camera's not on."
So Spencer gets upset,
Spencer gets upset.
starts hitting big winners, screaming at the
Going
net
nuts.
in De La Rosa's face. Then I think said some things afterwards, and De La Rosa didn't like it. He came over, gave him like a slight shove, where he lost his balance. It wasn't anything
No,
that
that's
terrible.
not what happened.
Oh, let me hear.
So it's actually kind of funny. Spencer Smith's girlfriend sees De La Rosa and Spencer starting to get into it.
Yeah.
She walks straight up to De La Rosa's face, gets right in his face, and pushes Spencer. So when you see Spencer fall over, she pushed him.
Oh, that's funny. Spencer's
She
girlfriend
wanted
pushed
all the
Spencer
smoke.
over.
Yes. So she knocks him over, gets right in Spencer's face. Apparently there was some kind of slap, but I don't know from who or where. And then, there was something like,
Get
get
your trash girlfriend out of here. And that's
something
why
like
it
that.
made
Right.
Barstool and
Correct.
Yeah.
it started
Kind of
That's
wild.
why-
There's like a
Got it.
girlfriends and players, fight.
Yes. And look, I don't care if guys get heated, it happens. But future reference, like, the girl shouldn't get involved. Just, you're not there to be involved. If he pulls out a gun, different story. But let guys get a little chippy, stay out of it.
Yeah, they'll be fine.
They'll be fine. It's just momentary heated bullshit. No one's gonna do anything.
Yep.
And then, but if you escalate it, you're creating a problem.
Yeah.
And that was the problem.
It seems like a fair amount of players know the difference. Like, I mean, Patrick Quinn was like going crazy with chirping, and then at one point threw the pickleball at Federico,
Yeah.
and then got a verbal
but
warning.
they're having fun.
But like immediately after was like, I'm sorry. Like, it was kind of very chilled out about it.
But they're friendly too.
Right.
So it was like, fuck you. Like,
Yeah.
nice shot, asshole. Like I do the same thing. That
Right.
Hayden doesn't have a malicious bone in his body.
Right.
So
So
it's not from what I can tell.
It seems like the chirping can be good for the event, but everyone knows where the limit is. It's like
Sure.
no one really wants it
No,
to
when
go
you
any-
make it like really personal, face to face, eye yell, then yeah, you're
Right.
you're going a little far. Take it easy.
Yeah. On the other hand, we were watching who was it? Who's pregnant? Who was playing 8 months pregnant? Buckner. And we were watching her play a Dream Breaker, and honestly, I was kind of a little worried.
I mean, yeah, Graham.
I mean, this is going to be considered a sensitive subject, but we have some thoughts on it, or at least I do, is that one, I don't know how great it looks for pickleball as a sport. It's tough to, from an optical standpoint, say we're a professional sport, We should have big sponsors and be competitive, and then have somebody late in their pregnancy playing at the highest level.
Right.
That's one issue I think I might have or should be thought about. And I don't think we're the only ones thinking this. I think there's plenty of people.
I think that's not the primary concern, though.
The other concern is the safety. I don't know anything about
or the liability.
Liability. I don't have any kids. I don't know about, I'm a man, I'm not a woman. But I would think even like the amount of exertion and sweating and overheating. And then on top of that, when she was playing the Dream Breaker, I was like on pins and needles because I see her kind of, you saw it, right?
Yeah.
She tripped up a little and you're like, oh, please don't go down.
Oh, of course.
Like I had this moment of like terror go through me.
And I feel like as someone on the opposite side of the net playing that, if you do a passing shot which makes someone fall over, then
That's true.
That's a
I didn't
tough
think
position
about
to be
that.
in. Like,
Yeah,
you would feel really guilty.
Like with the tennis tour allowed, does that happen on the tennis tour?
It's actually just not a possibility. There's too much competition. You just couldn't do it.
I mean, the team did not do well, so I think they got last.
Actually, but okay. But point is, like,
so maybe
there's not enough good women yet. Like, when I promise you, this 3 years from now, this will not even be a question because it's not possible.
You think 3 years is how long it's going to take for us to not have people
to have enough good women?
Pregnancy?
Yes.
Have non-pregnant women playing?
The women's field is so scarce right now. It's shocking.
Yeah.
I mean, it's shocking. The
Yeah.
fact that someone's competitive 8 months pregnant is amazing. In tennis, doubles or singles, you could never be competitive on the tour playing Wimbledon 8 months pregnant. It's
And we don't even know if she's
impossible.
8 months pregnant.
Okay, but I'm saying I don't know what it is.
Yeah, but late. It's definitely late.
Yeah.
She's shown, it looks well into the pregnancy.
It definitely was. I remember we were both stood there like nail-biter watching that Dream Breaker, just really
But nothing
praying.
against Brooke Buckner. That's her decision. It's more of the thought of safety, liability,
That fence.
the whole thing.
Graham, you'd wrote down here that the MLP stream on YouTube was not consistent. What were you meaning?
I heard
by
from
that?
a couple of people they were having trouble with the stream, especially on the further courts. And Travis is just saying that some of the line cams were going out too. Yeah, there was some trouble with the stream, which we're not
Really?
used to seeing because
I didn't know anything about
Boxcar
that.
is so good. And but when it was working and I was watching like championship court,
Yeah.
the quality of that stream is so
Yeah.
good when
Boy,
it's working.
And the calls now are awesome.
Yeah, the
Like this-
line calls are great. I
The
don't know how you
review system is perfect now.
Do
Yeah,
they have a better camera like
Yes.
frame rates?
Yes. I
Okay.
mean, literally, like it was the ball bouncing, and you could literally see absolutely drawing the center of the line of the ball. That is
Wow.
done.
Yep. They're getting way better at
Yeah,
that.
it was
But
really, really
we
good.
did have some problems with streams on some of the courts
Okay,
throughout
I
the days.
never knew about that. I was
Yeah.
obviously playing, wasn't paying attention, but every time that I came home and watched it, it was perfect.
Yes, yeah. Championship and the grandstand courts, I think, were pretty good overall. It's courts 3 and 4. Is actually one of your matches. I heard a lot of complaints on.
Really. I've watched my match. I didn't see anything,
Yeah, there was one of your matches. It was going like the feed was really bad there for a while.
but I've watched them start to finish. So unless they reviewed it and covered it,
I wonder
they're
if it
perfect.
was more of a stream, like as it's live.
As it's live,
but
right.
when it had like processed, maybe it was
different.
better.
It's
So
different once
yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Once you save it and
Don't
it
say that with
processes, it doesn't
certainty.
have the. Yeah, in my
Say it with
opinion,
certainty. That
sometimes.
happens 100%. We're going to Mars next year. I know it.
That's so funny. I mean, overall, the setup at Lifetime was incredible. That venue is great.
Great
They
venue.
had a great overall
A great turnout, I thought.
look. Yeah.
I mean, fucking
Sold
the
out,
center
I was
court
told, right?
Atmosphere was amazing.
I think sold out for every day
Maybe they'll let me play there one day.
on center court.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
So Travis, you had a Sunday Swagger commercial go on ESPN.
I did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Several times.
Several times.
You didn't see it?
I haven't seen it.
The whole world saw
Well,
it.
it was on the last one too, and they did the super final, which is the first time they showed it, like in June. So yeah, Swagger put out a commercial. It's really good. We filmed it in Newport Beach, and I gotta say, like, I think I'm being reasonable here. Most of the pickleball commercials suck. Like they're terrible. They're cheesy. Like it's a good commercial.
Yeah.
They did a good job. It's subtle. It's well done. It's it's a good commercial.
Sunday Swagger has sold 0 shirts from that commercial, by the way.
I'm sure it's negative.
Negative sales. People
Yeah,
have
people are sending
people
shit back.
returned their shirts after that commercial aired.
Someone called me today. What's
To
the
return
dude-
their shirt.
What was the
Hey,
Tiger?
Travis.
No, what was the Tiger King's guy's name?
I don't. Joe.
Joe
Oh.
Exotic.
Joe.
Someone wrote today on one of the posts. They're like, so why did the Ranchers draft Joe Exotic?
Oh my god.
And
I
was
don't
like,
think you look anything
"Hey."
like him.
He's got them. He's got the bullet thing going.
Oh, he
And he-
does.
yeah. It's like, all
That's
right,
so
hey, he's a
funny.
much better looking Joe Exotic asshole. And the guy's like, okay, I'll give you that. True.
That's incredible.
Yep.
In other pickleball news today, USAPA put out a post that they're developing a quiet pickleball.
Yeah.
Tell us about, Graham, you seem to know a bit more about that than I did.
Just because I'm getting paddles, approved by USAPA. So they talked about this several months ago with me, that they're going to start giving everyone like a decibel reading on their paddle. And if it's under a certain decibel rating, I want to say it's like 60 or 70, then it gets like their stamp of approval for, not obtrusive sound from a paddle. And we'll promote those paddles a little bit more.
Right.
And I think that's for like neighborhoods and communities where they can say, okay, you can play pickleball here, but you have to use one of the, decibel approved USAPA paddles.
Right. Which they said not at the expense of performance. So they're trying to create a manufacturing process that doesn't sacrifice the quality of the equipment, paddle, whatever, just reducing the decibel.
I think what USAPA is doing is they're just simply taking measurements of the sound and then letting the consumer know what that measurement is. Then the consumer can decide if it's important for them to have a quiet paddle or not.
Right. What do you think? Will you play with a quiet paddle?
I think what will happen is more and more companies will be aware of that factor and manufacture paddles that are quieter so that they're open to the largest market possible.
Right.
It's just part of, supply and demand. You want to open up to your largest market, and that's going to be people that don't care about sound and people that do care about sound. So why not get one that, cares about sound?
Travis, do you rely on the sound much when you're playing? Like, would you care if you didn't hear it?
Oh yeah. You have to hear it to some extent.
It's not going to be silent.
No.
They're
No.
not going to.
And honestly, it doesn't matter. Like, as long as it makes a sound, we'll adapt to what the sound is. You just distinguish it based on repetition. Like the ball sounds like that. It's likely coming this. Like we've done this in tennis. It's the same thing. You hear the ball first before you see it. You actually adapt first by hearing the ball, and then the adjustment with your eyes. But it's the same in pickle. There's no difference.
Yeah, the smarter thing would be to create a ball that is quieter.
Right.
That performs the same. And I'm sure there's companies trying. I would imagine there are companies out there doing it right now. But that seems to me to make more sense. Say you can only use this ball at this facility.
Yeah.
Because then it doesn't matter what paddle you're using. Right. It brings the decibel rating down for every paddle.
Yeah, I mean, what technology is available to create a ball that has the same bounce? But
maybe put on the interior of the ball some kind of fuzz or something.
Oh.
It's not for us to figure out. It's for the ball makers.
Yeah. You're not going to go into ball manufacturing?
I actually do make a ball, but I'm not going into quiet ball manufacturing.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of balls, let's just talk about the new updates to the heavy Dura controversy. Just go. I feel like it's a weekly topic at this point. What have we got?
I have nothing to say.
When we were in MLP, we were on the court and I'm looking in the bucket, and I see in the bucket there's the two different Duras. There's the lighter yellow and then the brighter yellow ball with the two different stamps. And I say to the refs, all three of them, I say, hey, what's the difference in these balls? Why do they mark them differently? And the ref looked at Travis and I and said, I've never noticed that. I actually have no idea. And we're like, what? What do you mean? How do you not notice that? There's a difference between how these are stamped and the color of them. And so the next thing, and so Travis comes up to me, and the next thing I know, next match, they had removed all of the Amazon balls out of the bucket and were exclusively playing with the one I call the PPA ball.
Really?
From that point on, they got rid of that ball. They wouldn't play with it anymore.
Wow.
Just because I made a comment.
So does this bolster your conspiracy theory, Graham, or hinder it?
Why do you keep looking at me?
Because
it doesn't validate anything.
We love how you react.
It doesn't validate a damn thing.
I'm not saying it validates anything, but the controversy goes on. It thickens. The plot thickens.
Oh, God.
Graham wasn't able to confirm with the refs at the last MLP.
But they did.
Nor deny.
But you can confirm they pulled the other balls out.
Yeah,
they're
the guy
confused.
actually tried to give me like the right Dura at one point because I was like, hey, can we get some balls? I'm about to play. And I was like, hey, can I get some balls? We're trying to warm up. And the guy's like, oh, we have the balls. Let me go get some. He comes back with like 8 bright yellow Duras. I'm like, hey, that's a different ball. He's like, is it? Fuck day. I was like, buddy,
but why did you care? It's the same ball. What does it matter?
No. The bright one, that plays differently. And I believe it's because of the dye. But they don't use the bright one. They don't use the bright one in any tournament.
They tried.
So he needs to shut his mouth. They don't use the bright one.
Interesting.
The bright one does play differently. There's no doubt about it.
Interesting.
Okay, I got like 3 minutes.
All right, let's round this off with a giveaway.
Yes.
We have, Graham, do you want to just hold this up?
Sure.
All right. So we have...
the other one?
Okay.
Oh, it's my bag.
That's all right. We've got
you're gonna put it.
an official Florida Smash Colin Schick jersey would have been worn by Schick this weekend.
Nice.
And we're giving away. Are we just giving away one?
Yeah, you get to choose. Do you want
You
green
get to choose.
or white?
Yeah, we got a green and a white one.
We got a used one and a new one. You can get the
I'd
smell.
want-
You can get the
Oh,
smell of
damn
Colin Schick practicing on this giveaway jersey.
So if you want to win that, then head to our Instagram as usual. And congrats to our last winner of the bread and butter pickleball paddle, whose Instagram handle was
It's Jeremy.
Well, I thought the name was good.
It's lawn chair.
It's lawn chair. Yeah, so he won the bread and butter pickleball paddle, so that was great.
Congrats.
Now we have the jersey, so go to our Instagram, Tennis Sucks Pod. And yeah, that's all we have, folks. So
You got anything else, Trav?
I got nothing. I gotta go put a baby to bed.
all
All right.
Thanks,
Appreciate
everyone.
It. Tennis sucks.
Tennis sucks. The worst. Hate it.
Bye.
Ron, you want to say tennis sucks?
Tennis sucks.
Thanks all.